providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Good morning and welcome to Caregiver Crossing. Thank you all so much for being here. If this is your first time joining us, Caregiver Crossing is a show. It's brought to you by Joy's House, presented in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We're here every week to talk about all things caregiving and also other stuff. As you'll see, as you'll quickly learn, we always just seem to get off the path, but it's only for a minute and it's good, clean fun. My name is Terry Stacy. In studio with me is our friend Noah Thomas, who is joining us, doing all of the work. And Noah, we've got Tina McIntosh on the phone. Tina is the founder and president of Joy's House, and she's not with us. She's on the phone.
I mean, I'm with you.
She's in Kings Island. She's at Kings Island for the 4th of July weekend, and it's long lines, and that's why you had to take some time off here. I mean, right? Long lines.
I like the way you think. First of all, Noah, I don't know who Noah Thomas is.
Oh, what did I say?
Taylor, I'm glad you're here as our producer.
I didn't catch that.
Thomas is, you know what? Noah Thomas, I think, is a famous singer. Oh, my gosh.
Well, so is Noah Taylor. Noah Taylor, hit it.
Maybe one day.
Oh, okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I wish I could tell you I was at Kings Island. Instead, I'm home just not feeling great. So I thought rather than share my germs with those of you that I love, I'll just keep them to myself. So,
you know what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Me too.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse. Here's what I just said to my mother-in-law. As a lot of you know, I have a checkered history of health issues, and I currently have a brain tumor. And I got a phone call from my neurosurgeon's office the other day as I'm not feeling great. Just with, kind of cold kind of issues. And they just reviewed my brain MRI results, and they're going to take it to the tumor board to discuss next steps. So, just feeling a little under the weather is whatever in my world. Like, I will get through this just fine, and then accept all the prayers for my case going to the tumor board. So,
first of all, I told you I didn't know there was a tumor board, which I thought was very interesting. But I have run into lately friends that need to have these very important tests scheduled. They leave the doctor's office and the doctor's like, okay, you know what? You need to have, we need to get you a stress test right away. And so you schedule it and you schedule it on a particular day, but the insurance company says, that's not, you're going to have to wait. And I'm so tired of insurance companies having the power that they have to make these determinations for oftentimes tests that a doctor says you need right away. But the insurance company stops you and says, no, because of the whatever million reasons, you're going to have to wait and reschedule that or move that back a bit. And I'm just tired of it.
You make an interesting point, and it is easy to sit in frustration because I certainly have been there with, people that I love recently. But I would suggest that you're talking with either, if you've got a contact at the insurance company, you're talking with them and asking them to advocate for you. If you need to do a peer-to-peer review, you can file with your insurance company to do that. Or have your physician's offer do that peer-to-peer review for something that maybe that's been denied or is taking too long. But, advocating for yourself and your loved one and asking other people to do the same thing will get you very far. The other thing I thought where you were headed with this, Terry, is the wait lists are ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. So, that's why it's so critical that, when the insurance companies, it's like they don't even realize, well, wait a minute, there's a backup already. I was lucky to get this, I'm just, anyway, I'm sorry. Please go ahead because your tips and advice is so good.
This is really helpful for people. And, from the waiting perspective, one, obviously ask if there's a wait list or if there's a way that you can get in sooner if it's necessary. If it's not necessary, please wait your turn because there are other people like what we're talking about where it's very critical and time sensitive. But the other thing is you can communicate with so many of your doctors and medical team now, through the portals that they have. And so I use my IU portal for everything, and it saves me from having to go in. You can also ask if you can do a virtual meeting. Sometimes you don't have to be in the office, and you can squeeze a virtual meeting in with your doctor and get a lot further, a lot faster. So I'm actually really glad you brought it up.
Well, I mean, I think it's it's relevant. I think it's I think people all understand that are going through this stuff right now. I feel like, and your advice is fantastic. Those are things I didn't think, because you feel helpless. You think like, okay, well, the insurance has got me and the doctor's got me. I just have to do what you just do what you think you got to do. And I think it's bad. I think it's sad that you've got to take extra steps oftentimes when you're scared already because these tests have been ordered. And now you've got to argue and advocate and do all that you need to do at a time that you just need to be able to get your appointment and go, right? I just feel bad about it. I feel like we've gotten so big. I think the medical world has gotten so big. You've got 15, 16 doctors. I was watching Little House on the Prairie the other day. Right. No. Okay. Well, anyway, I should stop.
House on the Prairie. No. I'd like you to see this one through. Go ahead, Nellie.
I was thinking about this, how awesome it is that you can just, you can get on your horse. And you can just ride up to the doctor and walk in and say, "Doctor, Mary's got a fever."
Yeah, but I also want to point out the same doctor who gets the worm out of your ear is the same doctor who's going to cut open your abdomen to remove your appendix.
No, you're right. I got crazy. I got a little crazy there for a minute. I did. I think maybe somewhere in the middle is, as usual, in the middle is a good place to be. So this is a little different, but I think it's still going to help somebody. And we only have like a minute before we have to take a break. Yeah. But Noah, you brought to our attention that July is what Safety Awareness Month?
This is very important, especially for July. It's ultraviolet UV Safety Awareness Month in the United States. This is a really important time dedicated to raising awareness about the harmful effects of UV rays, specifically on our skin and eyes.
Okay. So there are a lot of tips that go along with this, right? And we've got to roll through them really quickly. But one, you stay in the shade, especially between 10 and 4. You wear protective clothing is number 2. So those long sleeves, Terry likes to cover up head to toe. So the long sleeves, the long pants, the big hats, and the darker colors are good.
Right.
Sunscreen, Terry, at least 30 or higher of the SPF, and how often should you reapply?
Every 2 hours. If you're me and you're a sweater, you sweat heavily, you keep checking on it. It might be sooner. Next.
Yeah, and protect your eyes. Wear your sunglasses and your hat. Don't look at the sun. I don't care who dares you to do it. Don't do that. And then, obviously, tanning beds are like a thing of the 80s. Don't do those anymore. No. Sorry to all.
No, I did. And look at me. Honestly, look at me. Tanner. I'm a great person to talk to about tanning bed use because I used it sometimes twice a week for a long, long time. And now I'm the wrinkles are deep. Shouldn't be this deep.
Nothing was better than the smell of burnt skin in a tanning bed. But don't do that. That's just a bad idea.
No, it's terrible.
Take care of yourself and your loved ones. And I know, Noah, we've got to take a break.
Let's do.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We are here every week to bring you support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. Visit caregivercrossingradio.org to connect with us, hear past episodes, learn more about caregiver support resources in the community, and much, much more. That website again is caregivercrossingradio.org, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more shortly.
Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. I'm your producer, Noah Taylor. I am not a co-host, but one of our wonderful co-hosts today joining me is...
Terry Stacy. Glad y'all are here.
We're
Thanks
so
for joining
glad.
us because we've got a really special guest coming up.
Somebody very special to Joy's house. Joining us today, we have somebody incredibly special to Caregiver Crossing, and like I said, to Joy's house as well. He is an advocate for seniors, a certified senior advisor. This is our wonderful friend, Dave Holder, with Assisted Living Locators.
Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you. I'm going to record that and just carry it around on my phone.
I hope you do. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. For our new listeners, could you tell us just a little bit about Assisted Living Locators, and maybe tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the industry too in the beginning?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, I guess I'll start there. So my background's landscaping and snow removal. So if I can help with how much salt to put on a parking lot or how to prune a tree,
Wow.
I'm still
Love it.
active about that too.
I really do.
Yeah. So yeah, my family was like typical. My in-laws, my father-in-law was diagnosed with a dementia, and we just didn't know what we didn't know. We weren't very proactive, and after a bad week, we decided that we needed to get him into a community as soon as possible, and we didn't know what questions to ask, how much it costs, what the differences are, any of that. It was total naivete on our part, but we did the best we could and got him moved into a community, and only 3 months later to find out, we didn't make a good decision here, and we started that process all over again. And I was looking to make a change in my career and met somebody who I'm so thankful out of the blue knew nothing of what we had just gone through with my family, thought this would be a good fit for me. And when he suggested that and explained what the role was, I just jumped up and down and said, I've got to do this. And so that was 6 years ago, this past June, that I started Assisted Living Locators. And you can kind of think of me, you mentioned certified senior advisor, kind of like a realtor for senior living. So I focus in the independent living, assisted living, and memory care, otherwise known as like the residential market. So I'm there to be that advisor to help you understand what those differences are, understand what the family's needs are from a long-term goal to understanding the care needs. And then I make recommendations and say, hey, based on what you're looking for, I think these 3 or 4 communities might be a great fit. And then I go on the tours there with the family. So I'm there to ask those questions, make sure they're understanding everything, wear that advisor advocate hat. And it's ultimately their decision. But what I'm really passionate about is it's free to the family. I get paid a referral fee from the communities if they choose one of my options. So I really want families to be proactive. I want them to reach out to me with questions. However I can help, I don't want them to be in the same boat we were with my father-in-law.
I just want to throw out right now your website or how people can contact you before we go any further.
Oh, sure. My phone number is 317-854-9030. And you can go to assistedlivinglocators.com/careadvisor/North Indy.
Okay. Well, since we were just talking about that you're the guy that can do this, I wanted to throw out that number. So we'll give it out a few more times. Dave's going to be with us here for a few more minutes, and then we'll also keep him for another segment. But you know firsthand then the options that are available. When I was, a young teenager, I worked at a Turtle Creek nursing home. I was just a volunteer. I was a candy striper. But that's all I knew was nursing home.
Sure.
And so then when it came time to start thinking about this sort of thing, you realize, oh my gosh, there are so many options. And so if you just kind of briefly, the options that are available for caregivers now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you've got assisted living is probably the most common, because if you're a caregiver, there'll probably be some care needs. And I mentioned earlier, like residential living, that's
Yeah.
what assisted living is. This is your own apartment, your own furniture, your own pictures on the wall. And everybody always thinks, well, if I move to assisted living, I'm going to lose all my independence. And really, the design of assisted living is to support you where you need that, so you can be independent longer. So there's some assisted livings that, people just live there because they get 3 meals a day, the housekeeping, they don't have any maintenance, and that's why they move into that. Some move in for that support with activities of daily living. So that could be some medication management, help with dressing, help with bathing, help with showering. But other than that, you're free to come and go and do what you want and go on vacation and leave for the weekend and have visitors. And it very much is apartment living with support.
I really like that. I really like that idea. I mean, you're still independent, but if you need somebody 24 hours a day in an instant, they're right there.
They've got to be there for
I
you.
love it. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So from your personal and obviously so much professional experience going through searching for assisted living facilities, could you let us know some of maybe the common challenges that caregivers face when they're looking for a certain place for their loved one?
Sure. And so I just want to throw it out there too. Don't say the F word, Noah. We don't like the F word, and that's facility.
Facility. Yep.
And if you nobody wants to move to a facility, right? They want to move into a community. So I always just want to share that. I don't mean to come across
no,
arrogant
definitely.
like that.
It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
It's very important at Joyce House too. We love to make sure that it's our guests are in their house, not a facility. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, you said how that can help caregivers. I think one of the biggest things is that it's so difficult being a caregiver, and it's so difficult taking on that role. And I think that what assisted living, you can find a partner in that care. That's one of the biggest things that I coach families on is, this might start as a real estate transaction. And I know that I'm not downplaying the fact that you want mom to have that walk-in closet or dad to have that den. I mean, that's all very important. But ultimately, it really boils down to the care and the communication and the staff. And I think when this really, really works is you have a partner in that care. You trust them and their operations, and that they have that open door policy. So if you've got a concern, because balls are going to get dropped here and there, that you can go, you feel confident going to them and saying, hey, mom's medication was late last night, or dad's showering what didn't show up for 2 hours, what happened, that they're going to fix it and they're going to address that. And on the same side of the coin, or the other side of the coin, is that there's going to be a decline. And do you want to hear that mom is struggling now cognitively, or dad's going to need a little bit more care? Do you trust them and their processes to make that work? And so ultimately, when that works, it lets the caregiver be that son or daughter again, or that spouse again, and have that life, and to have somebody share in the care of your loved one.
Dave Holder is with us, Assisted Living Locators. We've just got about a minute, Dave, and maybe this is too long, a question that needs a longer response, but what financial considerations do caregivers need to be thinking about when they're looking into assisted living options? So many times I've heard people say, we had to sell everything just to get mom or dad in. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it is expensive, and I can talk in more detail about how that cost comes together, but yeah, the majority of the communities that are out there are going to be private pay, which means, Medicare does not pay for that. You either have to have the savings, combination of Social Security and retirement. Maybe you have a long-term care policy that you can use towards that. If you think that maybe this might be a 5-year journey or resident, you might want to look into Medicaid. So reaching out to a Medicaid specialist or an elder law attorney to really understand what levers you can pull sooner than later to be able to afford that. We have the Medicaid waiver here in Indiana, which is a great thing that allows an option, and a more affordable option, without the only option being a nursing home. So being proactive, understanding what those costs are, because on average, it's probably going to be $5,000 a month. So, $60,000 a year. Yeah.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We are here every week to bring you support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. Visit caregivercrossingradio.org to connect with us, hear past episodes, learn more about caregiver support resources in the community, and much more. That website again is caregivercrossingradio.org. Please don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more Dave Holder for you.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off with your first order at bollandbranch.com, code WONDERY15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. Terry Stacy, Noah Taylor here with you. Tina McIntosh will join us here in the next few minutes. But in the meantime, we've been talking to Dave Holder with Assisted Living Locators, 317-854-9030. If you're just joining us, we'll again explain a little bit about what Dave is about. But before we took a break, I asked Dave about what caregivers need to be thinking about when it comes to the finances when looking into assisted living options. And Dave talked a little bit about that and the maybe the bottom line, the average cost. But Dave, do you want to expand on that a little bit about that when we talk about cost?
Yeah, for sure. So there's always two costs that make up your assisted living monthly fee. And for, it's not a standard, but the majority of communities all work within the same kind of guidelines. So you have what's called a base rate, and then you have a level of care when it comes to assisted living. And so your base rate for almost all the communities is always going to include 3 meals a day. It's also going to include weekly housekeeping, where the majority of communities also help. They'll do your linens and towels, make your bed every day, every week, strip the linens off, put fresh linens on there for you. It will include 90% of your utilities, everything but a landline phone, generally speaking. Transportation is also included. So if there's doctor's appointments, they can get you to those on specific days. They also do outings and shopping trips and things like that. All of that transportation is included, as well as activities that go on within the community. So we all love bingo, but if there's a happy hour or live music or exercise class, that's all included in your base rate. And before you move into assisted living, they're going to do an assessment. Well, they'll collect some medical records, medication lists from your primary care physician. But what they're trying to do is determine how much support do you need and how frequently do you need that support. And again, it's always around activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, toileting, medication management.
Okay.
And so what they will determine within that, how frequent that is and how long those tasks will be. Most communities have 5 levels that are about $500 each. So for example, let's say a 1-bedroom apartment is $4,000 is your base rate, and they assess mom at a level 2, $500 each, $1,000. So her monthly rent would be $5,000. That includes all of that.
Okay. that breaks it down a little bit better, understanding. Dave Holder, as we said, is with us, Assisted Living Locators. He's an advocate for seniors. He's a certified senior advisor. And what Assisted Living Locators does, if you are just joining us, for free, mind you, he will help you as a caregiver find the right option when it comes to finding a new home for mom, dad, or for you. He'll meet you at the location. He'll go through those locations with you. He'll advise you on maybe what you're looking for, helping you to understand the options a little bit better. And again, I just kind of wanted to go through what Dave is all about, Noah.
When finding the right option for your loved one, there is so many different things to think about. So what can you do when the caregiver and their loved one might have differing opinions about where the need is?
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I think that's where, like, I don't have that history, obviously, with the family, and it's nice to have that outsider that I can be the devil's advocate, or I can give a different perspective, and just talking that through and really helping with those misconceptions and understanding. So many times I tour with the kids first, or maybe the caregiver, before we bring the potential resident into the conversation, so we can have those. What are going to be their objectives? What do you think they're going to think of the physicality of the community? Is it too big? Is it too large? Would they like those activities? Where do we need to pivot? So we can really strategize and do a lot of work ahead of time. But I think it's really, at some point you're going to have to compromise a little bit. And I know that, like I said earlier, sometimes it's real estate. But we can talk those things through and talk features and benefits and look at the long-term picture in that too, and really help everyone come to the best conclusion forward. But it is a difficult thing. There's a lot of family dynamics, and certainly those that go on within the caregiver as well.
Dave, I know you will be by their side, the family side, as you look at these options and visit these locations, these new homes. But are there any particular questions caregivers really should be asking when they visit these potential places? Or is it you take it from there.
Yeah, I think it's understanding really what the care that they can provide. I think I mentioned earlier, they're licensed as residential care facilities, but not every community does the same care based on their licensing. They can be a little lighter in care. Some can go a little bit heavier in care. Understanding that if there's a diagnosis of dementia, is mom or dad appropriate for assisted living? And when does that community make that determination of when they go to memory care? What is that conversation like? I think really understanding that the family, even with a great community, there's still going to have to be an advocate. They're still going to have to, stay in communication with the nursing team and the executive directors, and really putting that forward out there that it's going to be a collaboration, and making sure that they really understand this is what the community can do, this is what it looks like, and be able to make those decisions, again, just to keep in that proactive mindset.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Are there any specific health conditions that make assisted living better than a nursing home, or maybe vice versa?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Noah. So assisted living, with their licensing, they can provide like up to 24-hour care. What they can't do, the majority of them, is if someone became a two-person transfer, meaning they're not able to bear weight on their own, and they have to regularly have two people help them transfer, maybe from the couch to their wheelchair, from the wheelchair to the commode. That's outside of their licensing. So there's very few that will allow a two-person transfer in assisted living. Feeding assistance like that, majority of assisted livings can't do that. If someone has a catheter, they cannot change that. That's when you need that skilled nursing environment of a nursing home. So those are the differences that you need to do. So what you're going to find in your nursing homes is that higher acuity, those residents that have a lot more medical need and have a lot more assistance that's needed. Whereas assisted living, we're going to help you as much as we can, but if it starts to get more medically a need, we can bring in support for you to keep you in your apartment. But when that care needs to be more of that nursing home, that's going to be that transition. So, your residents in assisted living are getting some support, but for the most part, they're pretty independent and can participate in things. And you'll see walkers and wheelchairs, but they don't have that higher acuity that you find in a nursing home.
317-854-9030. 317-854-9030. That's how you can reach Dave Holder with Assisted Living Locators. And I tell you, it is a service that I wish I knew about sooner. I mean, it's just such a great, it's free. He will take care of you for free. And again, the website, Dave?
It is assistedlivinglocators.com/careadvisor/North Indy.
Okay. You're terrific. Thank you so much, very much. We appreciate it. Dave Holder.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You'll come back and see us soon, I know for sure. Noah.
You bet.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest and more than 40 years of senior living experience, Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us for more information and to find a community near you. Stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing after the break.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug? Ignored a leaky faucet? Pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look like that? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. But there's an easier way. Thumbtack is the app that makes it easier to care for your home. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, search, chat, and book highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Download Thumbtack and start caring for your home the easier way.
What makes a life a good one? Is it the adventure you have? Or the friends you find along the way? Maybe it's pursuing your passion while striving to protect, defend, and save what you believe in every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? In the Coast Guard, we think it's all of the above and more, but you'll have to find out for yourself. Visit gocoastguard.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. Terry Stacy along with Noah Taylor.
Hey.
And also to Tina McIntosh, who's joining us on the telephone. She's not feeling great, but we're glad to have her voice anyway. I think she sounds great. I think she sounds better than when she's well, quite frankly.
I think I will not feel like this all the time. I'm sorry that I was not able to be on with Dave.
It's okay.
Because I love that guy, by
I
the
know.
way.
You needed to
Dave
lay back
Holder,
down.
The best.
He's incredible.
Yeah, well, he really is. So
yeah. You want to talk about, let's talk about some, and I don't even really know how an easy segue into getting this, other than it's the holiday time and there's a lot of families that are together right now. It's summer, kids are home. It's family bonding time, right? So we've got a few suggestions that kind of foster bonding between caregivers and their loved ones, right? Let's do this. We will start off with Tina, please.
Well, I'm just want to pause for a second because I think when we're caregiving, we often think there has to be some kind of big production when we're trying to have a simple moment with somebody we love. And I just want to point out that sometimes it can just be sitting in silence. You know, you can be quiet or you can color or you can do simple things. So I don't want you to think you have to make a big production out of this. But if you're looking for a bigger kind of moment, I actually want to start with the nature walk and memory hunt. So, Carrie,
this is a good idea.
Do you remember years ago when Candace was still with us and we did the forest bathing?
Yes, I do. I do remember.
Loved. Do you know this, Noah?
No,
bathing
I
is?
don't. Please
tell her what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be in a forest. You can just be in a wooded area or outdoor, and there's no bathing, meaning like you're not naked in water. So it's a little deceiving. But
unless you want to.
What it is basically, I mean, you can. It basically is this nature walk. So forest bathing, there's a little bit more to it where you usually have a lead, and the lead takes you and a small group of others into a nature area, into woods or forest, and you are spending moments in nature that are just outside of your norm. For instance, hey group, we're going to take 7 minutes. You're each going to go out and you're going to see how many things you can find that have movement to them. Mm-hmm. And so you go out and you're looking at the ants on the hill. You're looking at the way that the weeds or the cattails are blowing in the wind. You're looking at the leaves. You notice the bees buzzing. It's just really helping you get present with nature. Now, when you have a loved one living with a diagnosis, that may or may not be something that you can do. If you can do it, do it. Just Google it, forest bathing.
I love it.
Nothing wrong with going for, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with going for a nature walk and a memory hunt. So just, going for a walk in a park, in a nature reserve, down the sidewalk, and just collecting natural items like leaves and stones and flowers, and talking about how they remind you of special moments or people. And maybe you decide you're going to take them back and you're going to have a little display and keep them, in a memory jar at home.
It's
Maybe
lovely.
with my kids, we used to make the alphabet or spell our names out of things we found in nature.
Oh, that's good.
It's so much fun. So that's one idea. What else do you guys have?
That's a good one. I want to tell you about cooking, because I'm not a good cook at all. But when your loved ones are all together, you don't have to do this. You just do this at the next family gathering. These recipe exchanges and cooking together is priceless, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's something you will never forget. You will never forget the things that happen when you are all together in a kitchen, which is the heart of the home in many places. And then that exchange of cooking recipes and cooking together is just a time you will never forget. It's it becomes a tradition, and you can do that anytime. Doesn't even have to be the holidays, but it's kind of a fun way to start. And I love that one. I do. And I think it's so beneficial for everybody, and to capture from your loved ones that are elderly, they're great recipes that you love to keep forever. Forever.
Grandma's
Anyway.
always got good recipes.
And little tips.
Yeah.
But it's true. And, talking about, like, my grandma made pineapple upside down cake. I haven't had that. Or strawberry rhubarb pie, like, takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
My oldest, Maya, has been in town for a couple of weeks, and she came over, and she had someone with her. Each of my kids had friends or people that they're dating with them. And we did this last week. There were 10 of us, and Maya and I really cooked a dinner, and the others kind of just hovered around, and we talked. And
Right.
we talked about cooking, kind of did this informally. And then afterward, I made the 8 of them who didn't cook clean up and put everything away. It was lovely.
See?
But not
This
really
is
the
a good
point.
one.
Not really the point.
This is a good one.
But my point is, I will cherish the memory of all of us in the kitchen together, and friends and music and laughter
That's
and
right.
conversation. And it wasn't anything formal.
No.
And it wasn't anything planned. It just happened. So that's a great, I love that one.
Oh, those are such
I
good
love that one,
moments.
too.
Noah, what you got?
I want to talk about my favorite family bonding activity, the music jam session. My music is so important in my family. I think growing up, my mom and dad just listened to so many like eclectic types of music. It's just so much fun to like get your family together and sing along, dance. I mean, even create a little family band maybe. I think it's just so important. Music evokes so many emotions in so many people, especially so many of our guests who do have dementia.
And again, another thing that you'll never forget. That
Exactly.
anyone will ever forget those moments.
Literally,
and
yeah.
music is so good for, somebody in the family that might have Alzheimer's, right? Tina, I think you've said, music. I've heard you say on commercials, that the music is something that is oftentimes never forgotten. Brings back so many memories.
It stays in our memories and in our souls differently. And I think, Noah, you make a great point. I remember when you were little, I know your mom and dad. And so I promise you had kitchen jam sessions where you danced to, whatever. I mean, my youngest split her lip on the corner of a counter to Black Eyed Peas. And it was one of the best jam sessions we ever had until we were at the ER.
Right.
But why don't we do that kind of stuff anymore? As we get older, why don't we do that? And so as you're caring for somebody, whether it's your partner and you grab that person for a dance and you have a moment, or it's somebody else in your life and you grab them by the hands and whether you can spin each other around or you can just sway back and forth to the music or sing to each other. I'm not sure why we get so shy about that as we get older, but I'd say get over yourself and let's do the thing.
Yeah, let's sing and dance together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I know we literally have to go. So I'll let you guys wrap it up.
Feel better.
I'll see you next week.
Okay. Deal.
See ya.
All right, go ahead. As we continue, as we close the show, we want to remind our listeners that they can contact us for more information and resources to help you through the journey of caregiving. Do that by calling 317-254-0828. Noah?
Caregiver Crossing is supported by Cardon and Associates with 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest and more than 40 years of senior living experience. Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Until next time, take good care of each other.